Ladies and gentlemen, dear members of the government, allow me to make a brief statement by saying that all expert arguments will be presented in the National Council of the Slovak Republic by the Minister of Finance, and we do not want to burden the public with numbers or far-reaching analyses at this time. What is most important to me is that we did not put it on the French. I could easily say that we will not make amends in the public finances, we will leave it as it is, and let the one who will come after us suffer with it, or who may have gained support in previous or some other elections. Since the advent of the government in 2020, we have been suffering with the disorder in the public finances, which was left to us by three governments, Mr. Matovic, Heger, and O. When we saw what these ladies proposed when the government ended in 2023, we did not believe our own eyes because they proposed total destruction of the social state. We were considering a deficit which was higher than 6%. The deficit was 6.5%. Therefore, I can announce that we have come to a decision which I consider to be in the right direction. The budget for 2026-2027 is a budget which guarantees the Slovak Republic that the new government which will come after the parliamentary elections in 2027 will have the public finances in order. I will repeat it once again. It will have the public finances in order and under control. Unfortunately, we did not get such public finances. It is generally known that the public finances were in the worst condition in the whole European Union in 2023. I do not like to say this because you have other favorites on the Slovak political scene. But once again, three governments, Mr. Matovic, Heger, and O, gave us the worst public finances in the European Union. I would like to say that I consider it to be a huge success, that the government of the Slovak Republic was able to consolidate such a difficult situation. But above all, the draft budget for 2026-2027, which was made a few years before the inauguration of the government of the Slovak Republic. What are the most important things? First, we are on the right track. We want to make order in the public finances. You know very well what everything includes in the package we call Lex Consolidacia. However, I can state today, ladies and gentlemen, that if there is more money for health and education in 2026, despite the fact that we have to save and consolidate once again, despite the fact that we have to save and consolidate, there will be more money for education and health. We have maintained the 13th two steps, which together we consider to be one of the pillars of our common governance. We did not interfere with the established social standards that we have in Slovakia. The good news is, and your assumptions and predictions are not fulfilled at all, that we still have one of the lowest unemployment rates. We are simply the best in history. Unemployment is below 4%. So where is all that you keep saying that there will be a catastrophe? I also want to say that in 2026 there will be an increase in VAT. Despite the fact that we have some amount of inflation, it is true that VAT will increase faster than the price of consumer goods or services, which is a good news. It is very important, of course, to realize that people do not perceive that we are moving on to reduce the deficit. In 2026, we are dealing with a deficit of about 4%, 4.1%. This is another decline compared to this year, so that next year we will go up to 3%, and that the government that comes in 2027 has normal, healthy and public finances in its hands, and not the mess that the ladies left us, who today shout from the stands and pretend to be the smartest in the world. Of course, we are equipped with various measures that we have to take, but for the sake of Slovak stability, I consider the acceptance of today's decision that the government of the Slovak Republic unanimously approved the draft of the state budget and submitted it to the National Council of the Slovak Republic as a good and positive message for the Slovak Republic. Everything else next week, and probably next Tuesday, at the National Council of the Slovak Republic. Thank you to the coalition partners. The conversations were demanding, but they are behind us. In the end, it turned out that the government coalition has politically advanced and realizes how important it is to accept in reasonable time intervals decisions that might take other governments months, or that other government bodies might not even know. So thank you. I would like to thank both the Voice of Social Democracy and the Slovak National Party for their access to this proposal. And I believe that the National Council itself will show that we have made a good and right decision and that we did not give it to the French. Thank you. See you at the National Council.
ako za dobrú a pozitívnu správu pre Slovenskú republiku. Všetko ostatné na budúci týždeň, pravdepodobne už v utorok, v Národnej rade Slovenskej republiky. Ďakujem koaličným partnerom. Rozhovory boli náročné.